Hello, Al Pals. This is Big Al, and welcome to Big Al Presents. And today, Big Al presents found footage films. Found footage films is a genre of films that I have been a fan of for approximately 20 years. And why do I say 20 right off the top of my head like that? Is because this week, the film that started a revolution. Not going to say it started the genre because there were other films before this, but this is the film that made found footage films popular and very marketable. And of course, that movie was the Blair Witch Project. The Blair Witch Project, which came out in 1999, was a masterpiece of marketing. It had people convinced that the footage that they were watching was real. Uh, Thankfully, I was not one of those people. I was well aware that what I was watching was merely for entertainment. But there were a lot of people that swore that, oh, I heard it really happened. I lived in that town. I remember when it happened. Of course, it didn't. It was just a great way to market the film and have people going into this thing in a very, very voyeuristic capacity. And I remember sitting there watching this film, and I was enthralled by it, looking uh, at each frame of the movie, expecting something to happen, looking for clues as to what might have happened to these poor film students that had gone missing, and I really just enjoyed the style of filmmaking, and I remember thinking, wow, I wonder if there are other types of films like this, and I came across another one, which I'll talk about in a second, but I do want to at least set it straight one more time. And I said Blair Witch wasn't the first film to do a found footage style of filmmaking. Uh, a lot of people have an idea which one it is. The most popular one that I find that most people attribute to being the first is the film Cannibal Holocaust from 1980. I have never seen this film. I am intrigued to see it. It sounds very, uh, very, let's just say, kind of graphic. Even the poster kind of has a very graphic quality to it when you really look at it. But a lot of people attribute this film to it as being one of the first. Um, but I will say the first film after Blair Witch that I saw that that kind of enforced my appreciation for the genre even more is a film called The Last Broadcast from 1998. Yes, The Last Broadcast preceded the Blair Witch in production, but Blair Witch found the distributors and the investment for being released. So, but in one of the many articles that was talking about Blair Witch, one of them mentioned the film The Last Broadcast, and I came across this film when working at a store at the time, and I bought it sight unseen, went home and watched it, and what I found was not only was it a really good found footage film, but it added a documentary feel to it, where there was a filmmaker interviewing people about the footage and about the outcome of the story. And that kind of hybrid, I really, really enjoy. Uh, I prefer Last Broadcast over Blair Witch 99 times out of 100. Uh, it's just for me, uh, the feel of it is better. It has a soundtrack which gives it uh, a very haunting feel, uh, and it's just I think it's just incredibly well done, and I highly suggest it. But I'd also like to talk about some of the other ones that have come around because of films like uh, Blair Witch and even the last podcast uh, that have been unleashed upon the American cinemas and or streaming services in some cases. Of course, if you didn't have Blair Witch, you'd have never had any of the Paranormal Activity films. Um, all of these films, I will say, the first the first few I really enjoy. The last ones get a little tedious, a little repetitive. But I will say it is a series of films that if you like found footage, you you can't not watch it. Cloverfield, another uh, big film that came out, combining found footage with giant monsters. Another film that basically couldn't miss with me. Uh, it has its ups and downs. Um, I, of course, prefer the action with Clover, the big giant monster, much more than the little parasites that kind of are falling off of the big monster and that are also attacking people. Kind of reminds me of that aspect. Kind of reminds me of the 1998 Godzilla film, where it was more Jurassic Park than it was a Godzilla film. It's like I want the big monster, but it's still a good film. Very, um, really highly suggest it. There's a couple of films called Grave Encounters, where a film crew goes into uh, an old insane asylum hospital and have paranormal experiences. Um, very enjoyable. Like I said, very basic. But if you've never heard of them and you're looking for uh, a couple of good films to watch on on a Friday night and you've got nothing else to watch, give them a try. I think you might enjoy it. The VHS trilogy. Each one's an anthology. It involves uh, someone or someone's finding a bunch of tapes and watching them, and on each tape is a story, and we watch the story, and of course, there's also the connecting fiber of that's going on between them, which isn't as exciting or what makes them. It's definitely the individual stories. But if you're a fan of anthology films, uh, is a great series to watch. There is from Mark Duplass there are two films called Creep, Creep and Creep 2, about a serial killer who is being filmed. He arranges to have himself filmed, and just you follow along on what happens. And I will say the title of this series is very appropriate. They are very well done, very well acted. Um, you really get to. I'm not going to say like the creep guy, but you kind of can sympathize with him a little bit, especially in the second film. Creep 2 is basically dealing with the fact that he's kind of going through a serial killer midlife crisis, where he's just not getting the same. kill from the thrill from the kill, as it were. But great films, great performances from filmmaker Mark Duplass. A couple of films that are actually done here in Maryland, and that's the reason I put them kind of here together. The Bay and Butterfly Kisses uh, are like Blair Witch, set in Maryland. The Bay is about an, an infestation or an infection or an invasion or an outbreak. You never want to, it's never quite uh, settled as to what is going on. And Butterfly Kisses is a film which is fairly new, based on the urban legend of the Blink Man. And I've got this. In fact, I did a film about this. A video about Butterfly Kisses not that long ago. There was a book that was coming out and was kind of related to that, and I read my review in that, so you guys know I really enjoy that film. Of course, those who know me know I love Bigfoot, and of course, where there's found footage, how could you not have Bigfoot found footage films? Uh, a couple of really good ones: Willow Creek from 2013, which was done by Bobcat Goldthwait, and a film called Exists from 2014. Yet another one dealing with our furry friend. Uh, really enjoyed both of these films. Of course, you take them with a grain of salt, because I will say it is amazing just how awesome the battery life is on a lot of these cameras, and, and and just how wonderful the equipment and any kind of tapered digital media stands up for God knows what kind of torture it's being put under. A couple of good films about people who are getting lost in kind of a desert setting and are having issues. A film called Evidence, which starts as you think it's a monster film, and then it turns into something completely different. Really shaky. If you get seasick easily, you might want to stay away from that one. There's a film called Dark Mountain. People getting lost in the superstition, mountains, and can't get out. And of course, now someone's found their footage. An excellent film that was brought to my attention by our beloved fan man, The Houses October Built. Great film for the Halloween season, about a group of young people going around to different haunted houses and kind of eventually getting themselves into a subculture that they really shouldn't have, and bad things happen. Enough said. Very creepy film. Really enjoyable. Highly, highly suggest it. There is a sequel. I haven't seen it. Fan Man has. Fan Man hates it. That says a lot to me. So, but definitely this one I suggest. Europa Report, another great film taking found footage into space. This is about the crew of a spacecraft which are on a mission to Europa. Something happens, or they have equipment failure. No longer able to receive transmissions, and somehow we eventually get to see what happened to them on their mission. Excellent film for not only sci-fi fans, but for found footage fans. And even if you're not a found footage fan, just a great film in and of itself. Highly suggested. Highly suggest this one. Now I want to kind of come to a close on a lot of these, and I mentioned before about sometimes it is questionable about just how good some of this equipment is. This is a film which is very good. I must say, the Gracefield incident was an incredibly fun film to watch. Uh, Thrilling, keeps you involved, very suspenseful. But right up front, it kind of sets itself apart by having the camera put inside of a guy's artificial eye. The guy had lost his family in a car accident and had lost his eye in this accident, and decides before a trip with his friends to a cabin to mount a small little camera inside his prosthetic eye. That's why I had to include the second poster, to just to kind of clarify just how odd some of these concepts can be. But get past that concept and you've got yourself a really good film, actually. It is more of a, as you can tell by the hand on the head of the woman in the primary poster, it is kind of it's an alien uh, found footage concept, uh, but highly suggested. But yeah, I just wanted to mention a few of those. I really love this genre. If anybody has any that they know of that I might not have seen, please mention them in the bottom. I'm always looking for a new one to watch. I just wanted to present a few of my favorites, and like I said, it's hard to believe that it's been 20 years since I saw the Blair Witch Project, and that just how much it did change me. Would I hold Blair Witch as one of the best of all time? No, not nearly. It's middle of the pack for me, uh, but it will always hold a special place because it did start a love affair between me and found footage films. And I am wondering how many times I've said that phrase in this video, and I know I'm going to say it again before the end. Yes, I do love found footage films, but anyway, I hope you guys maybe take a little time and check out one or two of the films that I suggested if you like them. Uh, if you've seen any that I didn't mention here, of course I've seen a lot more than this one, but I just wanted to talk about a few of the ones that really stand out for me. I have seen quite a few more. Like I said, it is a genre film that I kind of gravitate towards. But like I said, give me some suggestions. If I've seen it, great. If I haven't seen it, I'll put it on my to watch list. Until then, I hope everyone has a wonderful day. And as always, please take care.